Today's discussion is going to be related to the other recent one about what we know is different from what other people know, not necessarily more or less. And this is actually based on a kind of sharing a story that I found really insightful, a nice analogy to work from the Book of Five Rings. Now, the Book of Five Rings is a book from over 350 years ago, maybe nearly 400 years ago, by a swordsman in Japan, Miyamoto Musashi. I'm probably not saying the last name correctly. I guess possibly even the first name. Anyhow, but the story that I wanted to share from it was this example of when buildings are built, right? There is wood that is incredibly sturdy, but ugly. And that wood might be used for support structure, might be used for foundation, might be used for all kinds of pillars in important ways, but maybe not in the same way as there's other wood that might be very attractive, might be very delicate, very easy to shape, but not very structurally sound, not as powerful, not as load-bearing. And so that would be great, obviously, for all kinds of ornate decoration, things attached to walls, things on corners, things around the edge of the roof, things where it's not important for it to bear that weight, but it is important for it to be aesthetic. And what I like about this, and the example he kind of connects this to, is that different people, and obviously this isn't actually about the physical strength or attractiveness, but the different people have our different strengths, our different weaknesses, and that both of those types of lumber are important. Both those types of lumber are useful. Both those types of lumber are necessary to build a building in its best way, so long as they are able to be used in the way that is a right fit for their strengths. And this is something that one of the things I've enjoyed about the flexibility, just as an example, we have in Gamketo Club, or any of my club projects from the background in college clubs or whatever, in a way that's much harder in the professional workplace, is precisely that flexibility, just to try out and figure out where do I and my particular strengths and interests fit in what I can do best. I remember being frustrated when I was at a much larger game studio, seeing someone who wasn't really performing well in their position. And I knew it wasn't because this person's dumb, it wasn't because this person's bad, it wasn't because this person doesn't care or is lazy. It's because there's different strengths that we each have, and that there's almost certainly a role within this greater family of people in which this person could really excel. And that's something that is so hard. It's like when we had, it's actually another point by Juan Baca recently on the Gamketo Community Podcast, talking about how the difficulty he had navigating his career from being a producer side over to a creative writing and design side, because of how much higher that barrier is when you've only got professional experience in one particular line of work or one particular industry. Trying to migrate that to another is a big wall, versus, of course, in practice projects in a learning community, you can very much flexibly shift around and feel out. And that's something we like to celebrate, of even though we all kind of try to have some core fluency of, you should be able to do a little bit of Photoshop, be able to do enough code to get your assets in if you're making assets, should be able to do, build some levels, just get a feel for what the process is like. That's really, we try to emphasize that's really about a sampler platter. It's about a foundation. So you can communicate with others on their terms and appreciate the hard challenges of what they do and the complexities that can arise from what they do and how they do it. But that it really is about figuring out which of those do you want to double down on, because you don't know until you try. You don't know until you can shift around. You don't know until you've had experience in it that maybe you love it. And you don't want to find that out 10 years in the future. You want to find out as soon as you can, so you start building up some of those compounding benefits of getting a practice at finding what is the place, the spot, the situation that really plays to my strengths, the things that maybe even come most naturally to me. Not that you're necessarily born being good at things, but there's things that, you put yourself in a situation, some things you really thrive in, some things not as much. Everybody's got a place in game development. Writers, designers, musicians, sound effects people, programmers, producers, management types, right? There's different ways to play to your strengths, and that's what I love about that story from the Book of Five Rings about lumber use in buildings. That it's not like you throw it out if it's not right for a single situation. It's you find where can this be used to its maximum benefit, and it makes structures possible, makes them stronger, makes them more beautiful, makes them all around better than they could be if you only had and filtered for only one kind of lumber. So anyway, that's it for the day. Thanks for always tuning in. Have another video with you all soon.